Good morning.
Sawadika, Ajahn, are you here now?
สวัสดีค่ะ
Sawadika,
สวัส
Ajahn.
ดีครับท่านอาจารย์
Sawadika, everyone.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
Shall we start?
Yes, let's start. Nina, would you like to start? Or
Yes,
anyone else?
I had a conflict situation yesterday, and we are so inclined to think this person is spoiling my day. But from the Dhamma, we learn about conditions, because there is a very good text in the Visuddhimagga who understands the Paticca Samuppada, the dependent origination, sees the Dhamma. And Alan had looked up that text, and that helped me a lot, because we learn really it's not the person who says the disagreeable words to me again, but it is by conditions that there is hearing, and then by conditions that there is the accumulated dosa or about it. So it's really very important to see the conditions indeed. It's so true. Otherwise, we don't understand anything. But I will often hear, gone already. But I understand now, so long as Panya is still weak and doesn't understand the arising and falling away, that is a stage of Panya. We can do anything, but no use. Patience is needed until Panya is so far to understand the arising and falling away. So that is so important to remember. And then I heard Sarah saying something very important. It doesn't matter whether there is understanding now or not, because when it matters, it means I myself find it important. It is again the self, whether there is understanding. Very, very good reminder. I'm very grateful for all the reminders.
So what's the question?
It's more a remark, and I reported about my misunderstandings about myself and thinking of myself. And Ajahn, you often say that arising and falling away of realities does not show up yet because Panya is still weak. And as we can
Usually people forget that what is the purpose of listening to the truth of what is there now, as Buddha taught. Because we keep on thinking about many things, and Sanya remembers other things, not just that now is not self, it's only that which appears and it's there when it's there. When it's not there, it's gone completely. Not enough Sanya, Hira, strong, firm enough to not taking much time thinking about other things in a day, but from hearing and considering, and Sanya marks and remember the words, and there is the moment of considering about that which is now appearing, little by little. Otherwise, how can just one reality now can appear as it is, so that there can be the development of understanding the truth of its nature, that it is only that, no matter it is seeing or hearing or thinking or that which is heard or that which is heard, whatever is there can be conditioned, can be object of understanding, considering until sanya can remember more about its truth. That's why it can condition more moment of take of thinking, considering about what is heard as it is. For example, if we don't have Dhamma discussion, who think about seeing right now or anytime, it's not the object of understanding, even object of thinking about it as is true. That's why from hearing, how can there be more understanding little by little, not thinking about other things. Just remember the word which is heard and consider the truth, whether it's as true and as it's heard, that it's there. But when it's not there, the other thing is there. There is no seeing this moment anymore. Just very shortly, from moment to moment, just to keep in mind, to be conditioned for being aware of the truth little by little, depending on how much we use the term considering or contemplating to understand the truth of it, not forget about the truth that one has heard a lot about it. It's not self, see, but that is not enough. Just, it's not me, it's not enough. But what is it at that moment? A reality. And that which is seen is not we used to take it for many things around. But it is only that which can be seen, because only that impinge on the eye base, and the itta which says arises to see, only that and then gone. How fast it is. That's why no other way at all. Just listen and considering, and for sanya to remember firmly about that which is there as a reality. By conditions, no one there. This is the only way. So it might take quite a long, long time to develop the understanding of letting go, thinking about the other things from moment to moment, forgetting about what is heard, about seeing that it's arising and falling away, it's conditioned and then it's gone. No matter what are there in Tipitakas, many words about like Paticca and so on, but it is this moment, avijja, not understanding the truth of that which is now appearing, is conditioned for sankhara, thinking a lot about that which is seen as flower or things around, people and things in life, day to day, years and years ago. So the past avijja and the sankhara of the past life, no matter how many lives, condition this moment now. And this moment will condition the next moment in other life as well. When time comes, who knows? That's why when we read about the word, it means what about the reality? What about the avijja? It's there now. And it developed and it's accumulated on and on and on when there's no understanding. So sankhara is moment when it goes away from understanding what is there now to other thing all the time. And this is the sankhara and avijja to condition next life. The link from past life to present life and then to next life. So just read about the word and does not understand what is there now, cannot understand what is paticca samuppada, because it has to be this moment. After birth, what is there? After the patisanti citta and cetasika and rupa, see what condition, what at moment of birth? No one there. So study with understanding, and understanding develops to realize the truth that actually what is heard is now, at this very moment, no matter what it is about. Paticca samuppada or condition or whatever taught by the Buddha to understand this moment, to let go the idea of self. Because the self is there when there's no understanding. So the self at moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, liking, eating, walking, all day. see the danger of avijja, that no one can get rid of it, cannot eradicate it, until panya is enough to begin to understand little by little, to be satya to the truth. It's there now to be understood. Each word of the Buddha about now, avijja now, sankhara now. Just to understand more about no one, no self, that's the letting go of ignorance and wrong understanding about what is there in life at from moment of birth to death. Just to understand the truth as much as there are conditions in this life to develop on to next life, other life, on and on and on, until reality appears well to the developed panya, because it can understand the nature of that which now arises and experience the object which is seen. So we can talk about any word of the teachings because it's there now.
Yes, I think, Nina, like you said, if someone is criticizing or saying harsh words, immediately they're thinking about me or poor me or how they're spoiling the day, like you said. And Jan also mentioned the other day about when someone is criticizing all the time, we can have sympathy because that accumulation is building up all the time by Sankara Dhamma, the tendency to just criticize and say harsh words or keep talking about the others in an unwholesome way, and it causes so many problems in life, leading to speaking more and more harshly, which will bring its results. So occasionally, instead of thinking about me, this important person who has to hear it, what about the understanding and sympathy for the other that is speaking badly? At the moment, we have several friends who are in difficult circumstances because of having a partner who's very ill or something like this. But what about the sympathy when someone is speaking harshly or behaving badly, because it will bring its results in future. And we know that actually what is heard is just sound, just hearing of those sounds conditioned by karma. Who knows, maybe from speaking badly ourselves in the past, who knows? But anyway, it's just the result of karma. And I think it's a good point that we talk about various terms like paticca samuppada, dependent origination, and so on. But it's actually at this moment of hearing those sounds conditioned by karma in the past, conditioned by ignorance. So it all comes back to ignorance now, which conditions all kinds of experiences. So it's just at this very moment. And without the understanding now, there's no purpose of studying the teachings. And I think it's also a good reminder, we so easily can talk on and on and on about different scenarios and different situations and different problems in life, the floods and COVID and the criticizing people, on and on and on, and just forget all about seeing at this moment, hearing at this moment for a moment and then gone. This is the world right now, what is heard, what is seen. And we're so fortunate to have had a chance to hear about realities. I was so impressed last week when Ajahn was talking about the piti, the joy in considering and understanding the Dhamma, even if just for a moment now, to appreciate that it is the world just at this very moment and then gone. without the Dhamma, we'd have no idea at all.
And then gone. That is what Ajahn stresses. And then gone. We don't really understand the meaning of that. So long as Panya is so weak and cannot realize the arising and falling away, but it's useless to hope for that or wait for that.
Even so, even now, there can be the beginning of considering what was thought about a moment ago is gone. What was seen a moment ago, the criticism all long gone. So even beginning to reflect wisely, consider wisely about the world at this moment, without that understanding, there can never be the direct understanding of the rising and falling away of realities. So instead of thinking and dreaming about Vipassana Jnana and directly understanding the rising and falling away, there can be the wise reflecting and the beginning of understanding right now of what appears at this moment. Otherwise, it's me again. Oh, my insight isn't enough, or I can't really understand this. That's not the understanding of Dhamma now.
And some time ago, Ajahn stressed very much the experience. And she said that doesn't show up, it is more the objects of sound or visible object. But what about the experience? That I find that a good thing to reflect more on, that the experience of these different objects doesn't appear. So maybe it's useful to hear about more about that.
Because I think often when people hear that it's just visible object that's seen or just sound that's heard, there is wise considering and it makes sense and it's true, but still the idea that I see, I hear, I experience. So the letting go of the idea of I that experiences has to develop. It's so important. Not my experience now at all, just seeing which sees, just hearing which hears for a moment.
Yes.
Nina, I wonder if what you're asking has something to do with the fact that why Ajahn sometimes talks about the sense door covering the mind door. And it feels like it's just, the objects of the senses all the time and no idea about the experience, that which experiences.
Yeah, useful if Ajahn can elaborate more on this subject. Yeah.
When we consider just one reality at a time, one can see the accumulation of that reality. For example, does anyone forget that this is plate, this is shoe, this is cloth, this is window? Not at all. Why? Because one is so familiar with such thought, taking it which appear as something. So the words of the Buddha, one is familiar enough to understand it, because there's not as much many moments as we think about things and remember what is there. So one can understand how much forgetfulness about the truth that is heard in a day. It means that not enough memory of the word as it is, to what is true and what is not true. For now, see, even one is hearing. It's not me, it's only that which experiences. But we used to take it for I and think all the time. But when there is more and more hearing, considering, it can develop until it's there enough to not forget about that which is that which sees. Only that that which sees in a day, is there more moment than before or not at all? So at this moment, even one is talking about seeing, but there can be moment of thinking about anything by conditions. So very familiar with such idea about things, not about that which is heard. That's why one can understand Viriya Parami and Kanti Parami. It doesn't matter because it's not yet that level of high understanding, but now it begins to develop, to hear again and again and to consider little by little about each word more careful and deeper and more subtle little by little, so it can understand what is meant instantly, because before that there must be moment of not forgetting about what is heard, about the truth of it. That's why there's more hearing, more considering, more reading about only one word at a time. It's so very deep. For example, the reality which experiences all day, see, no time to understand that at moment of seeing, hearing, and thinking. So one realizes that no one can make it arise at will, but by conditions, since there's not enough understanding because of always forgetful about that which is there as not self, because taking it as something in one's life from day to day. That's why one understands about Kanti, Parami, even just a moment of listening and beginning to have a little more confidence, firmer about that by conditions. So, how long will it take to understand by condition the moment when it's there, as one has heard, even hardens right now, understanding it as it's heard, no thing in it, see, beginning to study just one word, no thing in hardness, no thing in it, because now it's hard, that's all, little by little, so very little in a day in one's life, until there can be the moment of understanding, and no doubt about sammasati, because it's a moment of understand that which appears, the characteristic which is hard, as no one and nothing by conditions, not enough at all. It has to go on and on and on and on until it's there. That's why just the word without understanding enough, it's not accumulated, because it would be forgotten next life. That word, what does it mean? But when there is the understanding of each word a little more, and understand it, that it cannot be taken for anything, because it only there when it appears, and then when it does not appear no more at all, is gone completely, absolutely. So ignorance, remember that it's there and cling to that which is not there anymore. See how ignorance much, how much it is in life from day to day, from life to life. That's why one can think about it, that it cannot be attained such great high understanding at once, but by understanding the moment of listening carefully about that. So it's not the word, but the understanding of what the word talk about, the truth of that which is now appearing, little by little. To understand the purpose of listening is to understand what is there now. That is the moment of understanding what Buddha taught about this moment as it is. Not only the word, but the truth is there now of that which is now appearing. And this is the way, the path leading to the fourth noble truth, enlighten the truth. What is that? The moment when it arises and falls away and be directly experienced and understand what is meant by nimitta. Because the Atthacita does not appear, the citta before seeing, the citta after seeing does not appear at all. And when it's very, very subtle, clinging, it does not appear like asava. But when it's stronger than that, it depends on whether there is understanding of that at very moment, of that very moment. If not yet, no letting go of that which is there as not self. So natural the way it is. Helena, I cannot hear anything because someone's coming in the room and can go out.
Does anyone have any questions they would like to bring up today? Jyotika, anything you would like to bring up? Or Rit, glad to see you here, Rit, or anyone else?
I would like to ask if there is this seeing, if there is the hearing all the time, then there is never more planning or something.
Can anyone stop thinking to arise after seeing?
No.
That's why there must be thinking by conditions, accumulation to think such way. Never change from what has been accumulated.
Never change.
That's why some people think wrongly and some people think rightly. Some people think in wholesome way and some people think in unwholesome manners. By conditions, this is the way to understand the truth, that no one can control anything because actually what is that is not anyone, but what is that is conditioned to be just that. Cannot be changed from this to that because it has already conditioned, it has already arisen. Who can change? But it can be understood as no one at all because what is there by conditions to think rightly or wrongly, wholesome way or unwholesome way, by conditions. The most important thing is that nobody can change anyone at all because actually there's no one. Only the right word to bring about right understanding, considering wisely that actually to have unwholesome reality or to have the unwholesome reality, what is better? Moment, not self. But what is better? Wholesome reality or unwholesome reality? What is benefit?
Also reality.
So when one hears something and it condition anger, see, can anyone change the person who speak like that? Or what is there now? Unpleasant feeling is there. And when it's unpleasant, is it good? Or what about moment when it's pleasant feeling or indifferent feeling? And who can make it? The other cannot condition it, but only the accumulation in the past condition that to be wholesome or unwholesome. So it cannot be the other's help to condition what is there, which is wrong to be right, but it has to be the accumulation of one's own. We use the word one because we don't talk about the other accumulation, but we just talk about anyone accumulation to be such and such. No one can do the for the other. It has to be one's own understanding. Ignorance is there, unwholesome moments are there. Who can help? Only understanding can see that it's conditioned. Nobody like it to be in the wrong way, but it's there by conditions, and no one can help anyone at all. It has to be one's own, from hearing, considering wisely, understanding the truth little and little by little, so that when when it's strong enough, there can be understanding that which appears not as it is to appear as it is, little by little, as one has heard. No one can change seeing to be hearing. No one can change anger to be like or attachment. Whatever is there by conditions. And when right understanding can understand what is right and what is wrong, what is beneficial and what is not beneficial at all. That's why only that understanding can develop the moment of having such anger to can be moment of understanding what is there, not me, but it's such reality, condition. And when there's no understanding, it would be more and more unwholesome realities, conditions. After the moment of hearing, considering, and so on, depending on wisely or unwisely.
Some people have the mistaken idea that after seeing and hearing, when there's more understanding, there shouldn't be any thinking or planning. But this is quite wrong, because after an idle process with seeing and other citas, there are many, many mind-door processes, far more mind-door processes than idle processes. Even for the Buddha, there was thinking in the mind-door process. But as Ajahn said right now, is it thinking wisely or unwisely? Is it planning wisely or unwisely? When there's the idea that I can plan, I can make things happen, I can control what will arise next, then this is unwise thinking. But whatever kind of thinking it is, whatever kind of planning there is, it's conditioned. It can't be any other way. No one can change it. No one can stop it, because it depends on the accumulated tendencies, what kind of thinking there is at this moment. So the point is not to stop thinking or not to stop planning, but to understand reality as it is, as just Dhamma, just moments of seeing, moments of hearing, moments of thinking, all by conditions, each one gone. No one can make it any other way. It has to be like that, no matter whether we're talking about the ignorant worldling or the Aryan disciple. Each moment of thinking is conditioned and cannot be changed at all.
Is there thinking now?
Yes.
See, unknown. What is that thinking?
That we do that the whole day, going on and on and on and on and on. There's all the time seeing, there's thinking, it's
But you
seeing.
think before, see, at the
Sorry.
moment of seeing something,
Yeah.
if there's no thinking about the shape and form, can there be the idea of something? So sudden after seeing process, only Bhavanka in between, and then mind door process experience the same object, but it does not see. And after that, it thinks about what is seen as something there, because not understanding the moment when it's not the same moment of seeing and the same moment of thinking. Thinking, there can be thinking without seeing, and there is always thinking about that which is seen instantly after the sense thought process. So it's the unknown until Buddha taught about that, how fast it is, very rapidly, from sense thought to mind thought. And now there are so many things. It means that so many mind thought processes about things and the story of the things of planning and so on. That's why as long as there is still seeing, like there is seeing all day, No one think about the mind door process because the seeing is there and the thinking does not show up as visible object or sound, but it's there instantly after sensor process.
So it is always from seeing to thinking.
Right. Otherwise, there cannot be Jonathan or Sarah and anyone there at all, or no, not I, not thing. But the idea of something always is there, as long as there is clinging to that object, not experiencing the arising and falling away by conditions, just appear and disappear instantly. And this is the world, unknown. The truth is covered up. The birth moment is not this moment. Just a moment seeing is not this moment of seeing, how fast it is. And thinking is in between, because there is idea of something all the time after seeing.
After all the seeing is thinking, after hearing is thinking.
Seeing cannot think, it sees.
Yeah,
And when it arises and falls away so very rapidly, what is seen is not just a color, but it is the shape and form of something. By sanya, marks it, remembers it.
yeah,
That's why sanya arises with each citta. It arises at moment of seeing and each moment after that and before that. And it marks and remember wrongly because it cannot experience directly the arising and falling away, but it takes that which appears as something. So it is sanya vipalasa, which condition the titi vipalasa, taking it for something very permanent, never lost from moment to death. There must be I all there. But actually different moments, different citas, different realities. Some moment is like, some moment is dislike, and so on. Different all the time. Not anyone can be taken for the salve because it's gone completely, never to return at all, even just right now. That's why the truth can be discerned when panya is developed enough to let go what is there together as only one reality at a time to be known.
And if they're without thinking, then one would not understand what was being spoken at the time, because what impinges on the ear base is just sound, and that sound has no intrinsic meaning to it. It only has meaning to a person who knows the language being spoken and therefore by thinking can make sense of it, as we say. So there's a lot of thinking all the time. And the same applies to what is being experienced through the eye door. The visible object that impinges on the eye base doesn't have any person or place or object in it. It's just visible object. And the idea of a person or a table or chair or place, a room, a computer is all thinking that follows the experiencing of the visible object. So there's a lot of thinking all the time.
Did Buddha think?
did Buddha think? Sorry. Yeah, I think so.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone is thinking.
This tiny ant, does it think?
I don't know. An ant thinking.
How can it live without thinking?
I think it can, but I don't know.
Does it see?
Yes, I think.
Does it know what is there?
Yeah, for sure.
Edible?
I didn't understand the last question.
Because you see that one take the food because one know what it is, right? We don't eat the flour, or we don't eat the hardness or the wood, but we
Yeah,
eat that which can be eaten.
yeah, it
So
can
what
be.
are the tiny ant?
Yeah, it can eat. I think so.
Does it know that that can be eaten? It's edible.
Yeah, it will not eat what is not good for it, I
Yeah.
think.
So the shape just make it to be different from human being, but the
Yeah,
seeing is the seeing, the thinking is the thinking. The absolute truth cannot be changed at all. Without the body, can one know what is what? Deva or ant or elephant or what? Seeing is just seeing. Thinking is thinking.
And
Like
we say that animals act instinctively. What is that reality that we call animal instinct?
seeing, hearing, smelling.
But with just hearing, for example, it's just sound. So if
Oh,
nothing is made of the sound, then how can it have any meaning? Likewise, what is seen or smelt, there has
but
to be more.
yeah, the animal knows when it is danger.
And what reality is that, knowing when it's danger?
I don't know, is it thinking? Feeling?
Well, it's not an experience through either of the sense doors, is it? It's not seeing or hearing or
It's
smelling or tasting
knowing.
or touching,
It's knowing.
knowing. So that's a mental process, isn't it? Knowing cannot be physical. Knowing has to be mental.
Yeah.
can we say that when it's not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, it is thinking, roughly, not in details.
I don't know.
When it's not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, what is that? Is it thinking or nothing at all?
Must be thinking, eh?
Yeah. Even in the dream, see, no seeing, no hearing, smelling, tasting, but there's thinking
It's thinking. Yeah.
all the time, much more than the seeing process and so on. But what is known is not as they are. It seems like it's more process of seeing, but actually think is much more than that. Because nobody minds about seeing and what is seen at all, while one keeps on thinking or planning.
But the end does not think then. Does it
The
think?
answer does not know what name is that person, see?
Yeah. No.
Because it's an ant, the birth consciousness is different.
Yeah.
Because it's the akusala vipaka to be born in such animal. But it has to think because it does not have only seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touch. There must be thinking as well.
It must be thinking.
Otherwise, how can it know to go this way or that way?
I don't know. I think
Too late.
smelling and knowing, or smelling and knowing, or
Yes.
the knowing is the thinking.
When it likes that, because it smells that, just want that to be eaten, to be its food. That's why some smell condition its attachment to. And what about that unpleasant smell so much. That's like it. And when it tastes it, no, the taste too.
Yeah.
Because the taste is different. So no matter who tastes, it's there, which tastes that object, which is unpleasant or pleasant by conditions.
Yeah.
When it lies or is attached to the object, is it the same or different from human being?
Same.
That's it, because nobody can change the characteristic, which is attachment, to be different from that, no matter when and of what object, because it's no one. It's just the reality which arises to be attached to that which is the object. And this is Dhamma, no one, only different realities. Avijja is there. Sankhara is there. Now, this moment too.
It's so amazing.
That's why we begin to understand the virtues of the Buddha, the greatest virtues, uncomparable. No one can compare to his wisdom, his virtues, no matter in what universe. Not just only this world. After hearing the teachings, one knows who's the Buddha. And when there's more understanding, one can understand that without his enlightenment and his teaching, it's impossible for anyone to have such light to understand the truth of that which is covered up from life to life. Only things around, but actually no thing. Only different realities conditioned to arise and fall away in split seconds. Just turn up that which is turned down. And what are there? So many, many realities. And it's not open up yet until the words of the teaching condition the moment of understanding it. No key, no way to open it up by one's ignorance. Only right understanding begin to know what is that which can open up that which is closed tightly too, right now. But there can be the understanding from considering the truth of the word about what is said now. That is the study of the Dhamma. Otherwise, it's only hearing and thinking about the story, not understanding that which is now, that Buddha taught to just come close and closer to see it as it is. Santitiko, akaliko, any moment can be conditioned to develop, to understand it. Not far away. So there can be the understanding of how much ignorance is there of each moment of taking anything for something all day. Well, nothing is there after it has gone. So seeing and dream about seeing many things, computer and story and plan for this and that, well, it's not there anymore. just live in the world of ignorance, not understand that which has gone as it's not there anymore, but keep on thinking that it's there.
So Jyotika, in summary, no matter whether we're talking about the life of an ant or the life of an elephant or the life of a human being, there are cheetahs like seeing, which experience the object through a sense door process. And then there are many mind door processes, and we refer to thinking because the cheetahs experience a concepts about what has been seen, what has been heard, what is thought about. We think that it's I who think and plan, but it's just cheetahs arising with many different cheetah seekers like Vitaka and Sanya, which experience the impression or the idea, not necessarily in words at all, like after seeing, when there's thinking about the shape and the form. It's so quick, long before there's any idea of someone or something. And it's just the same in the life of an ant, moments of seeing and other idle cheetahs, followed by moments of experiencing concepts, impressions through the mind door. Even we don't use the word thinking because no words, no names, but still there is the cheetah which experiences an impression or an idea. So as Jonathan and Ajahn have been saying, so it knows what food it likes, it knows which way to go, even though there's no thinking as we're used to using the word. So understanding about different cheetahs arising in different processes and how there has to be this kind of thinking all day long. It's a way to understand that there's no one there. In truth, no ant, no elephant, no person, just different cheetahs experiencing their object and falling away instantly, moment to moment, life to life. So gradually it shows how anatta each reality is and how there's no control at all about what arises next, because it has to arise by its own conditions. No one can change the thinking at this moment. No one can decide what to think at the next moment. Each moment of thinking, each moment of seeing arises by conditions and then is gone. And it's just the same in the life of the ant or the life of an elephant or the life of the Buddha. Each reality, each cheetah arising by conditions and falls away immediately. No one there at all.
So there is just this process going on.
Yes, moment to moment, one cheetah after another, experiencing its object and then gone.
And no one to see the process.
No one to see it, no one to do anything. But panya, right understanding, can develop to understand the nature of what appears right now. And whether it arises at this moment or not also depends on conditions.
So it is Panya, it's another cheetah who is the understanding.
It's the cheetah seeker, the mental factor that arises with kusala cheetahs. And that's the purpose of discussing or reading or considering about the truth. Without the considering and listening and reflecting, no opportunity for panya to arise. But by beginning to reflect that there are just these different realities, cheetahs, cheetah seekers, and rupas now, is the condition for panya to develop and to get used to the truth of what appears now. Like Ajahn said before, if someone talks about the shoe, we're so familiar with the idea, immediately we know what is meant. But it takes a lot of time and wise considering to get used to the truth that actually it's just seeing which sees now, just citta which thinks, no one at all. And I think there can be joy and there can be letting go of the burden when there is appreciation that nothing to be done, because it's just understanding which develops to understand the truth little by little, just at this moment.
I'm very happy with it, but I'm also very moved.
It's so amazing to begin to hear and understand a little bit more about the truth of life at this moment, and to begin to understand no need to stop thinking or to stop controlling or doing this or doing that, because each moment is conditioned and then gone, moment to moment.
Yeah.
I appreciate your good questions and considering, Jyotika.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing that it happened this way. And I don't know how to, I don't know. It looks like two lives. How to live just in a body with this knowing.
We think that it's how to do, how to change, how to understand, but actually it's not how to, just the considering works its way, and gradually the understanding works its way. Know how to, nothing for I to do, little by little. Like even this body, what is this body now? Is it a reality, or is it an idea that is thought about? Because what is touched at this moment?
This element.
Is it a body, or is it?
I don't know. I cannot think about everything at the same time, you know. But the body is built up of elements, I know. But
We think this person is built up of different elements, or the body is built up of different elements. But in truth, is there a person or is there a body that is made up of anything, or are there just the elements?
no, I think just the elements.
Because what is touched now, is it a body or is it warmth or hardness? What is seen now, is it a body or is it just visible object?
It's visible object.
So we cling so much to the idea of a body or a whole or a person, but gradually, Panya works its way to understand that what is seen is just that which is visible, and what is touched is just the tangible object, the element that we're so used to thinking of as a body or a whole or a person.
It's all the time so amazing. It's so overwhelming.
Little by little.
But it happens this way. I know. I want to thank you. I want to thank
Wise reflecting by conditions. Rit, are you there? You mentioned in a note that you were interested to talk about the Vinaya, but maybe at another time. Is there anything you want to mention about it? Rit from Cambodia. Would you like to mention anything about your topic? Or not?
Sarah, I don't see him anywhere now. Maybe he's out.
Still here.
Still here, but not with the picture.
Oh yeah, it came. Right.
Anyone else, Alan, or anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up? Betty, Tadao, anyone?
If no one else has anything to say, so I'd like to hear Ajahn talk more about Samvega. Like when we read about the Nikama Parami, it says that the proximate cause for Nikama is Samvega. So I'd like to understand more about this.
So the reality of Samvega is panya, not unpleasant feeling or sorrow about losing life or death at all, but it's a moment of understanding the truth that what is there is not there anymore. So it is a kanika marana, when there is the understanding more about it, no matter what is there. The place, the birthplace of the Buddha, gone, never to be the same at all. Each moment now that is there gone, so quickly, unexpectedly, how quick it is, see, beyond imagination at all. No one can imagine what is the real world when only one appears as object, because citta arises and experience only one object. When panya is there, when we visit the holy place, Sangveka, of how great compassion that he developed as Bodhisattva until experience directly the truth, becoming the Arahant Samma Sambuddho. See, and that is Sangveka. It brings joy, not just cry and think that I will die or something like that. It's so sad. Not like that at all. That's why we have to understand what is Sangveka. The reality of Sangveka has to be panya. And when we read on and on all about panya, to understand whatever is there, which is taught. So your further question is about, now we understand what Sangveka is panya, and then what?
Yes, and so the text says that the proximate cause for Nikama is Samvega.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Otherwise, how can it let go the idea of self or something, even so very fast, like, what is that? Only just a sound, no matter how loud it is or how very tiny it is, very soft. But the idea of what is there, taking it for something, see, very quickly because of ignorance, clinging. So there are so many degrees of clinging, and without understanding, without sangveka of that which arises and falls away all the time, uncontrollable, no one at all, can lead to nekama, letting go.
Ajahn, I have some trouble with the term Samvega. I don't know in English or how to spell it.
I think that each word, no matter in Pali or in Thai or in English, it depends on the truth, what he means and what Buddha meant about this word Sangveka. It has to be panya. That's why it can let go, nekama, to see the benefit, the precious moment of letting go. Because one has big burden, very heavy burden from birth to birth, not understanding that, enjoying what is there, because not understanding without that, without attachment and ignorance, how much calm or joy is there, appreciate the truth so much. That's why it begins to understand what is meant by Samvega, understand the truth of no one. See, for the other who doesn't have any understanding, they might so regret to lose I, not to be I anymore. See, but Panya can see that the truth is that because of the wrong understanding and clinging, it is great burden, no matter just in this life or life before and ahead, or even this life. Because of attachment, life is so dukkha, just looking for, searching for all the time. Don't want to lose anything at all. Just keep it on and on and on. That is not nekama, not let go, attachment. But when there's right understanding, only right understanding can let go the heaviness of the burden which one carried from life to life. Little by little, when there's no unpleasant feeling because of losing someone, see, because understanding that who can make it different from that, that's the way it is, because actually no one there at all. Only thinking and seeing and so on, keep on by conditions, on and on and on, arising and falling all the time. What's the end? No end. So what about this life? How much pleasant feeling? How much unpleasant feeling? How much such and such problem? How much this and that? Without all this, is it better? That is the beginning of letting go because of panyasi. It's not worthwhile to just arise and fall away, no one there at all, by conditions. Like the fire, when there are conditions for it to arise, it's there all the time, non-stop. What's the use of that? So it has to be only panya which can understand the benefit, the precious of that which is letting go. Ignorance, because no, not much ignorance as before, because there is the understanding of the truth until the truth can appear well at moment of enlightenment, no doubt about the truth, the arising and falling away of this moment. See, is that better than not understanding the truth? Not no way to letting go, clinging to that. So all depends on right understanding for letting go or nekama. So it's not just the word to try to find out what does it mean, the meaning of it, but the truth of that which it represents, the reality. What reality? For example, nekama. What reality it is? It has to be panya. No matter where, when we dig up or consider carefully and more understanding, it's only panya. Otherwise, nothing can be nekama, letting go.
And the word Tana Janka, and excuse me, and the word nekama literally means no karma or no attachment. Not in the sense of karma, but in the sense of karma being the sense of sensuality. So there's no attachment at that moment. So
And about Samvega?
Samvega, well, Samvega literally means, can be translated as urgency in English, but as you've said, Tanajan Cup, it's not so much the translation, but it literally means urgency or quickness or something like that. It's composed of those two words, sam, the prefix, that's upasagga, kamupasagga, you say in Thai, the word sam. I believe that's the same as som, means with or together, and wega means urgency or speed. And I believe they collect, in English, we have the word velocity, and I believe they are cognate words, but so it means with urgency or with speed, or as you're alluding to, Tanajan, with wisdom. And because when there is wisdom, there is nikamma, there is no clinging on or no sensuality, no clinging on to sensuous objects at that particular time.
So when there's no akusala, it's there sangveka.
Good point, Ajahn. Well, we know that, of course, when there is kusala, there doesn't have to be samvega. But then we can say possibly, Ajahn, that there is, because there's no, at least there's no attachment at that point. But traditionally, I believe what you're saying is, and it makes sense to me, that samvega relates to wisdom or panya cetasika. So we know that kusala can arise without panya, of course. So it's going to depend on the context whether or not when panya arises or not. So if there is kusala chitta, of course we know there doesn't have to be panya at that stage.
Because you see, anyone can see that without panya, one does not behave in the way that it can eradicate or eliminate unwholesomeness. But when panya is there, it's like hurry, not to live lazily or as before, because it's just the best thing in life. And by understanding that, one can have more time for it. Like what you said, the translation of Samveka. What does it mean again, please? The translation.
Speed, or speed, probably, or two ways it's translated. It literally means speed or quickness, but it also can mean urgency, like do it quickly.
And panya performs that function, not lazy. Can it be that? Because it sees the value of panya, that without it, one will live as we cannot count how many lives ahead, on and on and on. But when see the danger of the samsara, it speeds up. More time for hearing, considering, and what in life can be spent for considering, studying. That is the meaning of samveka, or hurry, or what you say, speed up.
Urgency or urgency.
Because you see that without panya, see, one does not see the value of panya. Can that be urgency? For what to do?
Excuse me, but in the Visuddhimagga we read about a sense of urgency.
For what?
And something happens in your life and it makes a deep impression that it is really urgent to develop panya, to understand. And
So like fire on one's head.
Pardon?
Like when there's fire on one's head, the urgency to develop understanding at this moment, when there's the opportunity.
And there's the opportunity, yes. Yeah.
And of course, when there's that urgency, there is nikamma. There has to be nikamma when there is that urgency at that particular point in time. There is a giving up of attachment at that particular moment.
So all the parami have to be conditioned by panya, but when talking about samvega, it has that particular aspect, right? That seeing the danger of samsara, and it relates very closely to the letting go, right?
And urgency too. Not be lazy.
Not be lazy, yes.
I remember in one commentary it refers to virya, the kusala virya with understanding, and that aspect of wholesome virya with panya as being samvega.
this is easily interpreted as a story, like someone who sees something bad happens in life, and then one goes forth, right? So it's some people also interpret that in that way, like more story than the realities.
They could see something bad happen in life and go forth with a lot of dosa or with a lot of attachment. So
that's right.
The point has to be with the understanding and paramis.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just a story, as you mentioned.
Right. Very good to hear Ajahn comments and everyone's comments.
So when there is more understanding, one can see that life is changed by conditions little by little. More time to develop understanding, reading, considering, and so on. And it has to be for letting go only.
And Tana Jankup, I really appreciated earlier on today you were talking about the ant, and I really appreciated it. Helped me to have better understanding that, of course, all creatures experience the world of the sensual world in different ways, and they think in different ways, just like us. And I notice sometimes I'm inclined to think, oh, that's just an ant, or whatever creature there is. And your talk today, or when you're speaking about the different creatures, be they ant or otherwise, can be a condition for having more understanding that those creatures just see the world just like anybody else, just like any other being. So I found that talk today about how an ant, for example, sees the world. It's no different from you and I. And you helped me to see that a lot more clearly. I appreciate that, Tamachan.
That's why we can understand more about realities or absolute realities and no one and nothing.
Yeah, Kap, absolutely, Ajahn, absolutely.
A little bit more on Samvega. So it's panya. Does it have to be a certain level of panya, or any kind of panya, any level of panya?
What about your life today?
Excuse me?
What about your life today? That's the answer for Samvega.
Okay. So if there's no seeing of the danger today, that means Samvega is not there, right? So it has to be a certain level of panya that can seize the danger of samsara.
But Tom, just that the fact that you're interested in hearing the Dhamma, I think it shows some level of Samvega.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree also. I think what Kun Sukin just said then, that listening and attending to Dhamma is definitely a level of Samvega, because we are appreciating the dangers of samsara. Even when we listen, we must have that level of understanding. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother.
Right. We would go for sense pleasures like usual.
And the letting go isn't when we come across a corpse or a particular situation or there's a death in the family, but at this moment, the letting go of ignorance and attachment right now, at a moment of understanding, conditioned by that Samvega.
Okay.
For a moment.
Thank you.
I want to just clear up one query about sense door and mind door. I thought I heard Sujin say earlier that there were more sense doors than mind door, but as the talk progressed, it came that, or maybe I misheard what you said, Sujin, but then I understood it as the talk went on that there is a lot more mind door processes than sense door processes. Have I got that right?
No, I wasn't saying there was more sense door. I was saying something you probably heard a lot, Ajahn mention about why it seems, as against when the Vipassana Jnana arises, why it seems that right now it's like the sense door covers up the mind door. And I was wondering whether it related to that topic which Nina brought about why we're not inclined to think about the that which experience. We're more captivated by the object of experience. So it was just curiosity, and after hearing Ajahn, I understood differently.
Enjoy, yeah, please, why?
Okay, right. Thank you. So, yes, a lot more mind door than sense door. Okay, sorry, I misrepresented you, Sujin.
One eye door process for one Gachitas, and then many mind door processes for one Gachitas in between, and then another sense door process. So many more mind door processes.
And I think I've mixed this up before. So obviously, it's similar to what Sujin just said. You know, there seems to be a lot more sense door processes because we think we're seeing all the time, but most of the time it's thinking about what was seen, and the same with the other sense doors. So, yeah.
Well, the world seems to be light all the time. Visible object seems to last, but actually it's experienced so very briefly and then gone, and so much thinking conditioned by the memory of the thinking about the nimitta and then thinking about the concepts about what is being seen.
Yeah. Yes, it's a good example of just how much panya, how developed the panya has to be to actually see an actual object. Oh, and then again, an object that touches the chakku, the chakku prasada, that is not known because it's too fast. It's the nimitta of what we're seeing that is actually known. Yeah.
That is the nimitta after the experience of countless visible objects with countless mind or processes in between.
Yes, thank you.
That's why it's so very subtle to experience the truth of reality right now.
Yes, Ajahn, definitely.
The truth has to be the truth. So when mind appears, so very tiny moment of sense though, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, they cannot let go of the idea of something, flowers or things at all. And we keep on saying that it's not the flower because it's composed with many, many very, very short and very little, very minute atom or whatever you would say, kalapa, see? And it appears as it is to let go the idea of what is there as something. By then, Nodavara covers up because it's there, while the other sensor just appears so short and so very little, as it is, as it's so true. But the truth is not opened up yet because Panya is not enough. It does not let the idea of what is seen as so many different things now. So until then, the truth can show up as it is.
So is this why we do talk a lot about nimitta? Because it is the nimitta really that is known. I understand from past talks that the actual experience of that visible object is not known. It is because it's so fast.
And we use the term vipassana jhana all the time. It has to be different from that which is not vipassana jhana. Otherwise, how can we say that experience clearly great wisdom to experience such truth, which is covered up because of its rapidity, of the rising and falling away of moment to moment?
It's very deep and difficult, Ajahn.
That's why Panya begins to understand the depth and the subtlety of Buddha taught from his enlightenment. Because after his enlightenment, he said Dhamma is so very subtle, it's so difficult to experience or to realize the truth. Because it has to be as that, no change. So very difficult. Only Panya can experience that. Because it is moment of understanding what is there. So what is there is the truth of that which is covered up when there's no right understanding and there is ignorance, not knowing anything about what is there right now. So what he taught is like just cause to come to this, to know what is there, not to go away from this moment.
And Ajahn, is that what is meant by samvega?
When we understand Samvega is Panya, we can understand what the way, the manner he taught, different manners, different aspects. Does anyone see the danger of samsara now?
I can only speak for myself, and I would say no. Occasionally, I will think about it, but it's more from a point of view of being a bit afraid of where I will end up.
And Samvega is different, see, from what you said. The understanding, the joy of understanding the truth, letting go what is clung from life to life as something or I. Understand absolutely that actually it's only that, not I. No I and no thing. Otherwise, it's impossible to eradicate that which has been accumulated quite a long time, years and years ago, as something from life to life. That's why it has to be pariyati, patipati, and pativeda, different level of understanding. Pariyati cannot be patipati, cannot be pativeda, and patipati cannot be pativeda. But how come to be pativeda? It has to be from patipati and patipati from pariyati. Very firm confidence of the truth that it has to go little by little from moment to moment to develop understanding, to really eradicate the anusaya, never to arise again. No condition for birth again after arahata, magga, and phala.
Yes, I can understand why it takes a long time.
And this is only way to let go the wrong understanding and the wrong path.
On another slightly different subject, Ajahn, we've talked about, and today we've spoken about other creatures, especially animals, because they're the ones that we tend to mix with in this realm. And because I've thought a lot about the animals that are around me, the big ones, the little ones, we're all the same in that we see, we hear, there's thinking. Jita and Jetasika for animals, the same as for humans. And what it has done is now I kind of fret about the damage being done to animals. And I have to keep reminding myself, yes, they do suffer generally more than humans because they're in the animal realm because of past unwholesome deeds. So, but I'm always a little bit shocked at how easily some people will just swat the fly or step on a spider, and it seems like I'm having more dosa than any sort of kusala moment regarding what I've learned about the animals.
So Panya just begin to see the different moment when there is dosa and when there's no dosa. What is better? What is more benefit?
Well, certainly the moments without dosa, the moments of kusala are better.
And
Yes.
that is not enough. What condition dosa?
Well, accumulations, Ajahn.
Lopa.
Lopa, of course.
What condition lopa? See, not just only that. Dig more, understand more about the truth. And what condition lopa?
Ignorance.
See, that's why without right understanding, ignorance cannot be eliminated at all. Just thinking about this and that, hurting oneself, harm oneself unknowingly, that Buddha didn't teach anyone to have such and such wholesomeness. Is it useful to think like that? To hate or be unpleasant?
No, it's very unwholesome. And it reminds me of today. I was with a family gathering, and one of the members was being really unpleasant to his mother. And I kept trying to say to him, look, it's your mother. You should be respectful. But he just went on, and I thought, well, he's really doing himself an injury. But it's hard when somebody doesn't want to listen to the Buddha's words. You just have to let them go, I guess.
So what about people or human being born with santirana, which is upekha, kusala vipaka, to be born as human being, but the citta, which condition the moment of birth as the result to be the vipaka, which doesn't have panya with it.
Right. Yes. Now I remember. Yes. So there's if you can't help someone, then you can't help them. Maybe they just have to have, well, if the conditions are right, maybe there's compassion for that person.
And one can learn little by little that if that person is not your niece or your grandson or granddaughter, but it's the other, do you concern more than what you take for my grandson or my granddaughter?
Probably not. No, this is my grandson's father, and so he's a grown man, like he's 45 or something. So
So all depends on understanding. See, when there's understanding, that it's less unpleasant feeling and dukkha. And when that person die, can be tomorrow or today, where that person is born, unknown. Is that person still your niece, grandson, or granddaughter?
no, well, in fact, he's not now. in reality, he's not that at all.
And there would be less dukkha when there is such understanding. So all depends on understanding and ignorance. What condition what?
Well, no understanding. People behave whatever their accumulations are.
That's why as much as one can, or the best thing in life is to understand what you take for myself or me. Otherwise, all akusala must be there by conditions, by accumulation, from moment to moment. And clinging to that as me or myself can hurt more than other thing. Because it's me, it's myself, but actually it's only moment of ignorance and attachment of dosa. And what's the use of such moment? It's gone, but it's accumulated. Certainly, it does not belong to anyone, but it's there by conditions, to condition such and such future moment. In samsara, never end.
Yes, yes. It's nothing. Some people, well, for most people, I mean, often I can't even help myself really, but trying to, I don't know what it is, caring for other people, but being unable to change their ways is frustrating. But I appreciate what you're saying, Ajahn. It's the truth. You can't change someone if they are that way. You can't make them indifferent.
And life will be changed by more understanding, little by little, from unwholesomeness into less and less unwholesome moment. But they are still there as long as it's not completely eradicated by Lokuttara Citta.
And the frustrating and the wishing is just accumulating more lobha and dosa and moha. We always think the problem is the other people, but it always comes back to the cetana.
Yes.
Not
Sarah.
getting what we'd like.
Mm.
I mean, Azita, as Nina was talking about earlier on about how she experienced some person and what could have been understood is that hearing is just hearing, sound is sound. I mean, is anyone else responsible for that? It's just a result of karma. And then the akusala, it's your own akusala that thinks about, so, and that's why it's understanding that without understanding, then we are just stuck here.
Yes, all very good points. I thank everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn.
Tam, do you want to bring up your topic that you put the note about?
Yes, because I read that in the commentary, and I think it would be good to hear Ajahn Ajahn's comments and also other comments on this because it's a little different from the usual way we hear about the three kinds of dukkha. So I think maybe someone else can read that in English so that everyone can understand better for me. Thank you.
Would you like to just summarize it for Ajahn?
Well, it's difficult to summarize because it says that in talking about the three kinds of dukkha, it says that whoever is an arahat is by fully understanding the suffering in change, viparinama dukkha, become devoid of lust through the destruction of lust. By fully understanding the suffering in painful feeling, dukkha becomes devoid of hate through the destruction of hate. And by fully understanding the suffering in formation, sankhara dukkha becomes devoid of delusion through the destruction of delusion. So here it seems to be suggesting that the understanding of viparinama dukkha is related to the destruction of lust, and the understanding of dukkha is related to the destruction of hate, and the understanding of sankhara dukkha is related to the destruction of ignorance. So it's a little bit different in approach. So I would like to hear your comment, Ajahn.
Shall we talk just about one word at a time?
Yes.
Which one?
So maybe we can start with the first one, or maybe the one that I'm most concerned about with the dukkha, because it says that by fully understanding the dukkha, there can be the destruction of hate. So because it's my understanding, dukkha is just a very common kind of dukkha that everyone can see. So what is the full understanding of dukkha?
Are we now talking about dukkha or
Yes.
other thing? Just dukkha.
Okay.
So what is dukkha? So we can understand how many dukkhas are there. What is dukkha?
So dukkha is usually translated as suffering or unsatisfactoriness.
And what is the understanding of that word? Sense, what kind of reality?
It's a feeling.
Unpleasant feeling, right? Dukkha.
Right, yes.
Because everyone can understand that. Usually when it's the bodily unpleasant feeling, right? Who doesn't know that it's so dukkha, so very, very dukkha, so painful and so on, no matter what degree. Even just a little bit, everyone knows that it's dukkha. No one likes it at all. What that which is unsatisfactory is dukkha. When one doesn't like it, one does not keep it, one does not have it close to us, that is dukkha, right?
Yes.
So dukkha is easy to understand. It's the bodily dukkha, which everyone knows. But does anyone understand the other kind of dukkha? What is the second one?
The second one is the viparinama dukkha.
Everything changed. Does anyone want to get old? To have sickness? To lose what we like? See? So that
No
which
one wants
change,
to lose.
Mhm. It changes. It cannot be the same, right?
Yes,
It's so pleasant, but when there is unpleasant feeling, what about that dukkha? Not have such pleasant usual moment in usual day. What is there as usual? To have dukkha, see, the change of the way it is can bring about dukkha, unpleasant feeling or disliking, unsatisfactoriness. Does anyone have such dukkha in a day? Even there's no dukkha, the bodily feeling, but is there that, the viprinama dukkha?
yes. Also
Okay.
in our daily
We
life.
begin to understand another kind of dukkha, right? It's so dukkha when we lose something we like so much. Or what does not like the way we like, it's dukkha too. Even it's not painful feeling, but it's dukkha.
Right.
So the third one,
The third one is sankhara dukkha.
the who knows that this moment is dukkha?
Only Panya knows.
Is it dukkha?
It doesn't seem to be dukkha.
In truth, is it dukkha?
Yes.
Satisfactoriness. See, so it can be understood that we live and there must be these three kinds of dukkha. And Panya understand the sankhara dukkha because even bodily feeling, dukkha is also sankhara and viparinama to all are sankhara, conditioned reality arising and falling away. Does anyone like the thing which arises and falls away, never to return at all? Only Panya can see the danger of it. What for? Just arises and falls away, on and on, non-stop, never end at all. It's a dukkha. And Panya can have less dukkha until there's no dukkha anymore. No arising and falling away, no dukkha, and no viprinama dukkha. When there's no sankhara dukkha. It's daily life, unseen, unknown. Only Panya can begin to understand little by little about what is there. It changed from previous moment to this moment, and this moment doesn't last. It's gone unknowingly. So it's only the present nimitta when it's there. So reality is also very subtle, but it can be directly realized when Panya develops from moment to moment, from intellectual moment, pariyatti, to be patipatti, to be pativeda. This is the fourth noble path. How subtle it is.
And Tam, often we read that they are summarized as unpleasant feeling, pleasant feeling, and neutral feeling, and all other realities. So whatever feeling it is, whatever reality it is, it's conditioned and it's dukkha. So for the one who has fully realized the truth of unpleasant feeling, pleasant feeling, and all other realities, no more conditions for any more aversion to what is unpleasant or attachment to what is pleasant or ignorance about any conditioned reality. So I think this is what the text is pointing to.
And so it means the real penetration of feeling, not like just seeing dukkha,
Not
like,
the common idea about, oh, it's dukkha now, but it's the deep understanding that even unpleasant feeling is just a Dhamma that's fallen away instantly. So no more for the enlightened one, for the anagami or arahat, no more aversion to unpleasant feeling. And for the arahat, no more clinging to pleasant feeling because it's fully understood as it is. So it's not like talking about the understanding now or the understanding of someone who hasn't heard the Buddha's teachings about dukkha. It's a deep understanding of the reality of unpleasant feeling.
That's why they use the word full understanding, right?
Full understanding, and it's the full understanding of the arahat, not the full understanding of the Seika, the trainee, not the full understanding, not the understanding of the worldling. It's the understanding of the arahat who has eradicated all defilements because of fully penetrating the nature of each reality, no matter unpleasant feeling, pleasant feeling, or any other reality, because each one is fully understood as it is, as anicca, dukkha, anatta, as dangerous, as so on.
Okay, I think that's very good. Better, I think it can be better understood that way.
Because it can be taught by different aspects, by way of the aspect of Vedana. It talks about the three kinds of Vedana, depending on what aspect. For example, when one is so pleasant, so happy, and then something happened, no pleasant or happy moment anymore. So one can see that it's the change of feeling from pleasant feeling into just other kind of feeling. So it's dukkha not to have the pleasant feeling long or more and on and again. See, because it changed. Even pleasant feeling can be changed from that moment into unpleasant feeling by way of feeling. It's the change of pleasant feeling. Because when one is so pleasant and then suddenly the unpleasant feeling is there, it's dukkha. And when it's talk about the unpleasant feeling, it talk about the painful feeling. And when it talk about the dukkha of everything, sankhara, it has to be panya, which can understand the sankhara, the impermanence of whatever is conditioned, arising and falling away.
So without understanding each reality, there cannot be the understanding of sankhara dukkha.
And in different aspect too, just to really understand the truth that it's not self, it cannot be taken for anything permanent at all. Because everything seems permanent right now.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Each word of the Buddha will condition the understanding of no one and no self of whatever is now appearing. That's all, in different manners and different aspects. So one can understand the dukkha when the unpleasant bodily feeling is there, and when one is so happy, usually in a day, no trouble at all. But when something changes, it changes from that pleasant moments, the daily happy life, into something that is one can see that it's a dukkha, because the different feeling is there. And when there is the understanding of sankhara, one can understand it. The absolute dukkha is the change, not permanent, of what is there now, just arise and falls away. The absolute sankhara dukkha. Because even pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling is also sankhara dukkha. Dukkha arisasatya. Just to understand the truth of everything as no one at all. Very, very impermanent, just arise and falls away in split seconds. Different conditions, different reality, pleasant feeling, three kinds of dukkha, and so on.
Thank you very much, Ajahn. Maybe we'll pause there and continue next week. Sadhika.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajahn. Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
Every week. กลับมาเลยค่ะอนุโมทนาคุณสาราคุณจอร์น